Welcome back to English 4.0, the radio show. Let's go! Advanced. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the program. Here we are in advanced class number 173. So approaching, well, kind of quietly approaching the end of the course here, to be honest. We have 195 classes, and we're here at 173. So what's that, 25, 22 classes left after this, is that right? Not very many classes left. So, and I must say, we always give out, I always mention that if you have any questions, be sure to write in. You have your tutors there to help you. If you're a member of the course, you have your tutor there to answer all your questions. So we try to be as complete as possible. We will answer all your questions. You have the audio here, the radio show, the show on television. You have the book collection. So hopefully you're following all the content. And I suppose that if I'm not getting any emails saying, Kyle, please mention this, explain that, I suppose it means that you understand everything perfectly. Is that right? Now here I am. I'm speaking quickly today because this is the advanced portion of the show. We're approaching the end of the course, and this is the advanced portion. So if you're having problems with things, write in. Or maybe you've written in and the tutor has already answered. I know our tutors, our team of teachers and our assistants here, they don't always pass on all the questions to me. But if you'd like your question to be addressed on the radio, you can write in and say, please make sure that Kyle mentions this on the radio. And if I get it, if I receive that, then I will, of course, mention that on the radio. And I encourage you to do that because it's really beneficial for everyone, for all the listeners who might be asking the same question. So you can go in through the website, voningles.com. You can also log in if you're listening on the radio, vonradio.com. You can write in through that website as well. Anyone can access that, and you can write in and say, I have a question for Kyle about content, a certain grammar question, for example, and I will do my best to answer all your questions either through email or here online on the radio, I should say, on the program. Now, let's get down to business and take a look at a phrasal verb that we saw yesterday. We were looking at the phrasal verb to give up. To give up, which is dejar de hacer algo. To give up, to quit. We have the simple verb to quit. Quit. Every day I quit. Yesterday I quit. Quit. Lately I've quit a few bad habits. I'm trying to quit drinking coffee. We have quit. We also have to cut back, which just means to reduce. To cut back, another phrasal verb. To cut back on something means to reduce our consumption of something. Whereas to give up is to quit. Dejar de hacer algo. To quit something. So is it easy to give up smoking? No, it isn't easy to give up smoking. People say that it's quite difficult to give up smoking. I've never had to give up smoking, but people tell me that it's quite difficult to give up smoking. And this is what we call a separable phrasal verb. That is, we can separate the verb and the preposition, and we have give it up, give something up. Okay? So, no, it's not easy to give up smoking. It's not easy to give up coffee either, to give up, to quit consuming something, to quit doing something, to give up a bad habit, for example. All right, now, the other thing we were going to look at, and we didn't have a chance because I ran out of time yesterday, we were going to review numbers. So let's spend a few minutes today practicing with numbers, and numbers up to 1,000,000 today. So let me refresh your memory. This will be reviewed today on the television as well, but let me refresh your memory with numbers and what we have to remember. First of all, after the thousands, we have the group of thousands, we use a comma, not a point, but we use a comma. So the use of the comma and the point, the decimal point, are reversed in English. Okay? Now, we say the word and after the word hundred. That's sort of our second important point. Hundred and. The third important thing that I want you to remember about numbers is we never say hundreds, thousands. No. 100,000. So 123,456. Okay? So 100 and then 1,000, 400. So not 1,000 and 400. No, 123,456. For example. Okay? The other thing that I'd like to say, after the decimal point, imagine I have 0.12. We don't normally say 0.12. We normally say 0.12. This is not a rule, this is an observation. We usually pronounce numbers after the decimal point according to the individual digit. That is, imagine 1.25. We don't normally say 1.25. 1.25. This is just an observation of the way we most commonly pronounce these numbers. Another thing, of course, the intonation. The intonation, right? The stress, the cadence, the stress of the syllables in numbers. So we say 13, and then we say 30. 13, da-da. 30, da-da. 14, 40. 15, 50. 16, 60. Okay, so the intonation is important, and as usual, I'm exaggerating a little bit. You may know that I tend to exaggerate a bit, but here, yes, if you add a little bit of exaggeration, you add a little bit of extra stress, you'll make it more clear, and it will be easier for the listener to understand exactly what you're saying. Okay, so let's practice with a few numbers. So get out your pen and get out your paper. I'm going to read 3 numbers for you. Write them down. Now, listen, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to be held responsible if you get in a car accident. So if you're driving, wait until you stop. Maybe pull over and then participate in this number dictation. It's important, but be safe, okay? First number. The first number is 220,184. And the second number, 270,217. Did you get that? And the third number, 287,496. Now, what was that first number? What was the first number? The first number was 120,000, 120, comma, 184. 220,184. I will repeat, 220,184. And the second number was 270,217. Right, 270,217. And the third number, 287,496. Right, okay. Let's try a few more. Let's try 2 more numbers. 126,890. And the next number, 134,860. Okay, so what was that first number? 126, en voz alta, 126,890. Good. And the last number was 134,860. Good. All right, good. I hope you did well with those numbers. Let's move on now and take a look at our expression of the day.
Expression of the day.
Yes, it is time for the expression of the day. Our expression of the day today is A1. A, the first letter of the alphabet. A as in Alicante. A as in alpha. 1. So A1. If something is A1, it means it's great. Ooh, wonderful. A1. It's also a popular steak sauce. A sauce that you can put on steak or on a barbecue. Steak sauce, it's a brand, but A1. Ooh, great. A1. A1 job. Great job. Well done. A1. Now, this is a known expression, but it's not something that you would use every day. You have to be careful with phrasal verbs and with expressions. I always tell my students that a part of learning something is also learning how often it can be used and when it can be used. If you know an expression, it doesn't mean that you should use it all the time. If you say everything is A1, it will sound a bit strange. So I would recommend using this once a month, okay? Don't use this expression every day, but, ooh, that's A1. Great job. A1. A1 job on that project. So this is what it means, and if you hear it, that's what it means, but I wouldn't recommend using it very, very often, okay? A1 as in very good. Let's move on now and get started with our new material here in class number 173. And we have some questions through my favorite exercise. That's right, the Mastering the Interrogative. Here, in this exercise, we will practice with the question word, how. So this is the exercise where I'll give you the answer to a question, and I need you to ask me the question that I've already answered. Okay? So the first question, well, the first answer, I should say. She's 34 years old. How old is she? They ran 12 kilometers. How far did they run? Good. They did it by redirecting the main power supply. How did they do it? There are 4 books on the table. How many books are there on the table? It took 9 years, this is true, it took 9 years to build the Statue of Liberty. With the question word how many years did it take to build the Statue of Liberty? Now, if I say it took 9 years, you could say, how many years did it take? Or if my answer was, it took 9 years, you could say, how long did it take? It took 2 hours and 40 minutes for the Titanic to sink after it hit the iceberg. That's true. It took 2 hours and 40 minutes for the Titanic to sink after it hit the iceberg. And the question, how long did it take for the Titanic to sink after it hit the iceberg? Good. Finally, it's about 250 kilometers from Madrid to Trujillo. And the question, how far is it from Madrid to Trujillo? How far is it from Madrid to Trujillo? All right, good. I hope you did well forming all those questions. We'll review this tomorrow, but quickly, let's move on and take a look at our vocabulary of the day. Vocabulary of the day. All right. Our vocabulary of the day now, our first word, valor de mercado. Valor de mercado is market value. What's the market value for that? Market value. Significativo. Significativo, we say meaningful. It was a very meaningful experience. Mientras tanto is meanwhile. 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 So meanwhile is different from in the meantime. Meanwhile essentially means at the same moment. Meanwhile eventually means at the same moment I was working. Meanwhile, he was still in bed, sleeping, for example. I was in the office. Meanwhile, my brother was still at home sleeping. Meanwhile. Whereas in the meantime is used for in the sense of while we wait for something. We have a delay. I have to fix the machine. You can't work on the machine because it's broken. So in the meantime, clean up the factory, for example, while you wait, in the meantime. Okay, now, the next word, lío, or follón, desorden. This is a mess. What a mess. Vaya follón, what a mess. Voluble. Cambia mucho de humor. So imagine this person is, one day they're very happy, the other day they're very upset, they have an explosive temper, maybe. We say they are very moody. Moody. Okay. Now, finally, we can practice with the structure, have you ever? Have you ever? So this is used with present perfect, this structure. Ask me if I've ever been to New York. Kyle, have you ever been to New York? Yes, I've been to New York. Ask me if I've ever driven a Rolls Royce. Kyle, have you ever driven a Rolls Royce? No, I've never driven a Rolls Royce. Ask me if I've ever eaten callos. Kyle, have you ever eaten callos? No, I've never eaten callos. Ask me if I've ever met Tom Cruise. Kyle, have you ever met Tom Cruise? No, I've never met Tom Cruise. Ask me if I've ever gone skiing. Kyle, have you ever gone skiing? Yes, of course. Yes, I've gone skiing. All right, now we are out of time. I'd like to stop there because we're out of time, but we will be back tomorrow at the same time. So be sure to tune in, and like I mentioned at the start of the show, if you have any questions about content, be sure to write in. Questions about anything, we're here to help you. Write in, or if you just want to say hello, be sure to write in, and there are a few ways to do that through the website, vaughaningles.com, or through vaughanradio.com. Give us some feedback, and keep listening, keep studying. Only 22 more classes to go. Keep working hard. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.